Welcome to A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Thursday, October the 30th, and we are going to go fast tonight because I dropped the ball and we are a little behind, and we want to make sure that you enjoy some Thursday night football. But we do need to address an issue that keeps coming up regarding the Tennessee Titans that I honestly think is their easiest issue to correct, and that is the issue of effort. I am not, I've talked about this before, whether it's on here, whether it's on a radio show, the idea that I'm not comfortable questioning publicly, unless it's clear and obvious that a player has quit. I'm not comfortable questioning effort among professional athletes. I just don't think it's something that is fair. I don't think it's something that I could reasonably assess because I've not played in these kind of games or participated at the highest level of professional sport. And unless it is so obvious that a player has just given up, I don't think that anybody else who's not in their shoes or hasn't been in their shoes should be able to judge that. But there are enough people, current and former players, questioning the effort of the Tennessee Titans on a couple of different fronts. And most recently, we talked with Nate Washington about that today. So we're going to get into that tonight, a little bit of a different self-scout. We'll ask you who you're picking between the Dolphins and the Ravens, do a little weekend bounce back, and then send you on your way to enjoy your weekend. Before we get started, share the broadcast around on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch, wherever you are spending your precious and most valuable time with us. We do appreciate your participation. So share this show around, and once you've done that, more of y'all will trickle on in here, and we will go ahead and get it rolling. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time. From the T-Dot Studios, Nobody Trashes Tennessee. The Tennessee Department of Transportation reminds you that you can help in the effort to keep this great state clean at tdot.com, or rather, nobodytrashestennessee.com. My mistake, nobodytrashestennessee.com, to be a part of the solution to end littering. By TrueMath Fitness, the best workout in Middle Tennessee. Worth Campbell just threatened me to say, he texted me asking me if I was going to be at TrueMath tomorrow. I said, yes, of course. That is the case. He responded, costume or don't bother showing up. So I don't have a Halloween costume. I'm going to have to figure it out. You don't have to show up in costume. They'll make sure that your first workout is enjoyable and your first workout is free at truemathfitness.com. We'll see what kind of costume I come up with. No costumes at Simon Says Nashville. They just have the best men's clothing options out there for you. You can learn more about all of their inventory at simonsaysnashville.com and pay them a visit in Wedgwood, Houston. And Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, online at tworiversford.com. Quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service. So there have been a couple instances this year that are pretty shocking to hear professional athletes talk about other professional athletes in regards to their effort. I have never covered a team or covered a locker room that has been so regularly accused of not bringing the passion, the fight, the effort, and the energy that is a baseline requirement to exist in professional sports. We have a couple of different examples of this here throughout the course of the season, whether it is public comments from former players or public comments from current players. And that started with Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman, the audio that we played for you, the Colts wide receiver, when the Indianapolis Colts came to Nissan Stadium in week 3. And obviously, once you beat an opponent, it's easy to say whatever you want about them. But we talked about this. We did a whole show about it. In week 3, Michael Pittman was not antagonistic. He just said, yeah, we saw the way that the Titans came out of the tunnel in pregame warmups. We noticed that they didn't seem to have much energy, and we thought that we would be able to take advantage of that. And they did. They hung 41 on the Titans that day. Then you had the commentary from Mike Silver, or rather the reporting from Mike Silver, on an exchange with Jeffrey Simmons and J.C. Latham, where Jeffrey Simmons, who is the leader of the team prior to the Raiders game, talked about after they lost to the Raiders, talked about it was one of their worst weeks of practice. And then Mike Silver did some reporting and discovered that Jeffrey Simmons had to confront J.C. Latham about his effort at practice. Now, I kind of shrugged a little bit of that off because J.C. Latham was trying to come back from injury, and it's going to be hard for me to be critical of a player's effort when they're coming back from injury, when they may not be right, when they may not be 100%. And I don't care how hard they go in practice. I just care that they give effort in the game and that they give their 100%, 110% best effort in game. And after that, we started to have Nate Washington. Nate Washington's been on the radio show all football season long, and Nate has talked about he doesn't like the effort. He sees a noticeable lack of effort and fight and finish from the offensive line unit. He brought it up again today. Then there's the Kayshon Boutte commentary after the Patriots played here and won, where he's talking about lazy corner and secondary play about the Tennessee Titans. There's been so many comments about this at this point that it is a massive issue, but it should be the most simple to correct. So in the comments on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, the question that I would ask you is, what is the most correctable issue on the Titans right now or about the Titans right now? Give me your answers on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. If you would like to participate there, let me know what the most correctable issue is. It's your Two Rivers Ford Take. As always, it's presented by the South's most trusted Ford dealer. That is Two Rivers Ford. They go above and beyond to find you real deals, and they will do that for you no matter what your price point is. They will find you the vehicle that makes the most sense for you as the customer, for your family's budget, and for your needs. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com today. So that is, to me, the biggest correctable issue, or the biggest issue that is the most correctable. The effort that athletes are telling you that the Titans are not showing on a day in, day out basis. And Major Keys says laziness. They need motivation. Well, the motivation is the money. Like, that's what it is at the end of the day. They are all paid a check. They all have the opportunity to earn, unless you're at the end of your career and you know you're going to retire. Like, your tape is your resume. Your tape is your next opportunity to go out there and earn another multi-million-dollar deal from another organization. Or if you're not in the multi-million-dollar classification of professional athlete, then it is your opportunity to go and to fight and to put good tape out there so that maybe you get a prove-it deal. And then you can cash in the way that you want to. And so few dudes actually do. But the thing that I have never heard lobbed as criticism as much as I have about this team is that they don't seem to try very hard. And that's a problem. Amnesia says, Buck, it's not hard to see if you actually watch this team. Wide receivers quitting on routes, corners giving half-ass effort, and people just going through the motions. It's highly visible from my couch. Okay, well, like, that's the kind of commentary I'm not, and respectfully, like, you're entitled to your opinion, but it's highly visible from my couch is where you lose me, right? You're on the couch. You're not in the game. You're not out there fighting. You're not out there scrapping. You're not out there clawing. You're not out there at practice. Like, don't tell me it's not hard to see if you actually watch this team, because I do. I watch every game. It's like Bird Box. My eyes are being held open to the point where I have no choice, because I like my money, and my money comes from watching this team and talking about this team. So don't tell me that and I know you're not directing that criticism at me, but don't come in here after I've just said it's hard for me, as somebody who is around these guys on a daily basis, who knows these guys' stories, who understands the trials, the tribulations, the effort, and all of the fight that they have to go through to get to this point. Don't give me your criticism. It's highly visible from my couch. That's the kind of shit that isn't warranted, even though I understand how you might feel that way. I'm just never going to make it a public criticism. I'm never going to make it a part of my analysis unless it's Isaiah Wilson bad, that players aren't actively trying out there. And that's kind of where I'm stuck between. But when so many professional athletes, former and current, continue to talk about this stuff, like Nate Washington again brought it up today, it's hard for me to ignore that criticism when they see something that we obviously can't see beyond just, I'm watching it from my couch and they don't look like they're trying very hard.
Yeah, I'm as a former player, I understand you're gonna have good and bad plays, right? You're gonna have plays where I've had plays where I was wide open and dropped the ball, right? But I think never came into question my effort, and that's the main thing when you look at this offensive line in the trenches of what they have going on. It's from play one, I turn on the game, and from play one, I see a guy that just lacks understanding of, I think, the run play, the stretch play to the right, doesn't get his reach block, and a play is made in the backfield. And it was that time after time of watching those plays, some of those plays actually from the Indianapolis game. And, So while some things can be technique, I think some things are just pure effort. You know, a lot of times I'm seeing them drop kick, get into their engagement, make contact, and then they just stop. And it was a couple plays that I had to rewind like more than like 5, 6 times because I'm looking like this isn't a technique issue. This is effort. Finish the play. And that was an issue on multiple occasions from a number of guys. You know, I know JC has been under scrutiny and rightfully so. A young guy needing to grow up, needing to understand the sense of urgency of this level of the game. But in the same sense, you know, I turn on the film and Christianberry is doing the same thing. You know, I've seen a lot of misdirection, a lot of ill-advised blocks when he was in perfect position due to alignment in itself. You know, just playing patty cake in a lot of ways, you know, and it's not acceptable. You have to have guys that have a passion and an anger and a want to when they're in those trenches. And I'm just not seeing it from this offensive line. They're going to need some more passion towards this game, some more understanding that they're protecting a first round draft pick. And it's important for him to be healthy in order for this team to grow.
So that is Nate Washington, former Titans wide receiver, on the radio show today, talking about this circumstance. And listen, he is qualified to judge this. I am not, you are not. And I don't mean to say that you can't have an opinion about anything related to professional athletes if you haven't played the sport. Like, I'm not going to Ryan Clark you, right? Where he's up there talking to Peter Schrager about that's the non-player in you and all these different kind of nonsensical things that don't make any sense, because if you spend enough time around professional sports, you are qualified to talk about them to some extent. I know where my limits are. I'm sure Peter Schrager knows where his limits are, but effort is always something that I kind of, I toe the line on. Now, when you get that ratification, that confirmation from somebody who has been in those situations, then I think it's okay for you to start to make that a part of the dialogue. Like, I'm not ever going to make it a part of my analysis without talking to former players or players on the roster or people around the athletes on a day in, day out basis, unless I hear it that many times. And I have over and over and over again. So the most correctable issue that they have is the effort. But how do they, where is that going to come from if it's not happening on a regular basis? They're 1-7. And it's really, really hard for anybody to see the forest through the trees at this point in time. Ann Hirsch says, Nate said it was poor effort, not laziness. Those two aren't the same thing. Well, we can talk a little bit about that, because I don't know if it's quite as definitive as you're making it. But we can expand on that, or we can try to expand on that here in just a second, right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch. Go to TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled or repeated. TrueMath Fitness is there for you to make sure that you accomplish your fitness goals. I'm going to be there tomorrow, 7 a.m. 7 a.m. is my TrueMath Fitness Arm Farm Friday days, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a great workout. I love the personal training, but you don't have to do personal training if that's not your vibe. If you'd rather take a group fitness class or just sign up for a membership to have access to their open gym, you can do any of those things. It's very, very cost effective, and they know that you'll love it. That's just why your first workout is free at TrueMathFitness.com. So as you look at all the different things that are going on here, where is that fight? Where is that effort going to come from? And is there a difference between poor effort and laziness? So I think that when you talk about laziness is something that you are not prepared. You are not doing your due diligence throughout the course of the week. You're not taking care of your body the way that you need to. You're not doing your tape study the way that you need to. You're not participating in the meetings the way that you need to. And then the effort can obviously, like, there is effort required to do all of those things. But what I don't think Nate is alleging that they're unprepared or that, Cushenberry doesn't know the playbook or something like that, which would also fold into laziness. But it's a Venn diagram, right? Effort and laziness, or a lack of effort and laziness, crossover. And there are some things that can be put into those two categories, and there are some things that cross over there. A Venn diagram, obviously, the two circles that overlap. If you're not familiar with the Venn diagram, I assume you are, but just in case. So I think that like the effort in game is what he's talking about there. Like finish. I don't care if your technique isn't perfect. Just go out there and knock the shit out of somebody, right? If you're on the offensive line, like I don't care that you're not using the proper footwork on every player, that somebody may get into your chest before you have the opportunity to get your perfect technique, your perfect hand placement. No, just go out there and knock somebody on their ass and try to make a play. Like that's the version of an offensive lineman making a play, right? If you're a wide receiver out there and okay, maybe you've had a miscommunication or something like that, but you see the quarterback's got a scramble drill going. All right, lock in. Let's try and Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes our way through this thing and keep moving, keep finding ways to get open so that your quarterback has some kind of an outlet so that he's not just running for his life. He has to run out of bounds. He takes a sack or he has to throw it away. Like these are things that can all, be pigeonholed in either effort or laziness or the Venn diagram of them both. So I think that's kind of the place where we're at. I think that it's easy to slack off when you're 1-7. It's easy for me to slack off when they're 1-7. I was talking about this and I won't name media members by name, but just that I was having a conversation with a media member today about, did we really need to go to practice today? You know what I'm saying? Like, did I really need to go into the locker room today? Because there's nobody in the locker room. Nobody wants to talk to us. We already, all the players who you would want to talk to anyway, Jeff Simmons, Calvin Ridley, L'Jarius Sneed, aren't talking. Cam Ward talks on Wednesday. So like on a Thursday when the locker room's empty and, you're staring at Truman Jones, the new linebacker who just got there. And with all due respect to Truman Jones, like what meaning am I going to derive from a conversation with Truman Jones that benefits the audience? Like, what do you care? And the answer is probably not. So that makes me feel like, well, do I care? And I'm having this conversation. I'm like, yeah, but what else am I going to do? Like this is my job. I show up and I go talk to players and I learn things in the locker room. I learn as much as I can in the locker room and I at least get their perspective. And okay, maybe they don't win a game on Sunday, but like that shouldn't stop me from showing up to do locker room, even though I'm probably not going to get a lot out of it. Like the best thing to come out of the locker room today was Sweat calling Justin Herbert the perfect quarterback because he's white and tall. And it's just a funny moment, but like, is there any actual value in that? No, it's just a funny throwaway line. And you're like, all right, call it a day, boys. Let's wrap this thing up and let's keep it moving. I think that Ann Hurst says, how many fans know who that is? Truman Jones. He's the new linebacker that just got here after Ali Gay went on injured reserve. How many people knew about Ali Gay? I don't know, but just where things are at, right? So it would be easy for me to slack off at 1-7. I'll be honest, like sometimes it's hard to stay dialed in that way, but that's what the money's for, right? It's the same for them as it's the same for me, and it's the same for anybody else who's covering a professional football team or a professional sports franchise that isn't winning. Still go out there and do the job to the best of your abilities, or they'll find somebody else who will do the job better than you, or will give more effort in the job than you will. And whether they're better than you or not, if they try harder, a lot of times that's half the battle. If I just give up and, rest on my laurels and say, yeah, I've done this shit for 10 years. What do I need to, what do I have to prove to anybody? Or if I'm, a veteran offensive lineman who's looking around and being like, man, I'm on a terrible team. I'm on a 1-7 team. I've played 8 to 10 years in a league. What do I have to prove to anybody? No, man, it's your job. Go out there and get it. And that's kind of where things are at right now. It's a tough spot. It really is. And maybe it's unfair to have those expectations, but again, that's what the money's for. So when you look at the things that are plaguing the Titans right now, when the athletes keep bringing it up as to the question of effort, I think that's where you start to raise red flags about, okay, are the right people surrounding Cam Ward? Because that was never supposed to be a part of the equation, especially when he keeps bringing up the offensive line.
That was my hope for a pretty veteran offensive line group across the board, that they would be the ones to kind of set the tone that way. And it sounds like, at least from your observations watching this team, that it's not evident on the field.
No, yeah, definitely. But because, and we addressed this, previously with the Michael Pittman situation in this statement, but, kind of referring to the overall aspect and outlook of, the energy of this team, you don't need rah-rah guys, but you definitely need guys that when you turn on that film and you see them making the plays that they need to make, that there's energy in their plays. There's a passion and motion in, their plays, and you just don't see it. I see the young guy, J.C. Latham, kind of bouncing around after tackles are made and trying to help guys up in those type of situations. And kudos to him. But, that's the groundwork of actually doing your job with a passion. And, a lot of their effort towards, especially up front with the offensive line, a lot of their effort towards their job and their approach has been very lackluster. It's been very, I'm just here to do my job today as you turn on the film. And it's unfortunate because, as you said, you bring in Brian Callahan, you bring in the veterans from Ziegler to Dan Moore, and you're expecting more out of their understanding of where this game lies. And I just don't see the energy and passion and want to in their game. I'm not here to speak on what's being said on the sideline or what's going on, but I do know as a former player that when you cut on that film, you see a very lackluster team going through the motions, and they have to stop doing that.
It's as simple as that. Just stop doing it. It's like the penalties. Just stop doing it. To their credit, they've not been heavily penalized here of late after starting the season with just an avalanche of them. It seemed every time they walked out there. And so just stop doing it. Just stop doing it. Or not stop doing it, but stop giving less than 100%. Even if that's a circumstance where it would be easy to not give 100%. You can't have that. That is a cancerous type of scenario to have infect your football team. And I know that vets who aren't going to be here in the future or are on 1-year deals or these mercenary type players that they're just, plugging and playing at this point in time because their roster is just falling apart at the seams. Like, I know they don't care about Cam Ward's development for the future because they're probably not going to be here to see Cam Ward's development for the future. And the winning that if you're a Titans fan or a Titans coach or a Titans executive, you hope comes with Cam Ward. But it's not acceptable. It's simply not acceptable. Mike McCoy has said that he doesn't agree with the assessment of that there's a lack of effort or a lack of fight. And I don't expect him to publicly say, yeah, our guys aren't trying hard enough. But I don't know. It's just I've never heard this much commentary about a team this way. I've talked to Blaine Bishop about it all the time, publicly and privately. Like, Blaine can't get over the idea that that this is even a part of the conversation. And if you know Blaine, you know the way that he played the game. And the way that Blaine lives his life is 100 miles an hour. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, who you got? This is about to kick off between the Ravens and the Dolphins, two-win teams. Lamar Jackson back, first start since week 4 when he sustained a hamstring injury against the Chiefs. Tua last week against the Falcons. I'm getting these stats from Amazon directly. A 4-touchdown performance. That's the best he's looked all year. So, Dolphins or Ravens, who wants it more? Baltimore is favored to win their division despite being 2-5. At this point in time, Miami has one more loss and is still ahead of the Jets in their division. Baltimore is ahead of the Browns because they have one less loss on the season. And obviously would have the head-to-head because Baltimore has already had their bye. But the Ravens, I would expect them to go out there and win the football game. I hope they do, if for no other reason. But Robert Walsh is there in attendance, our EP on the radio show. If you're not familiar, he is a diehard Ravens fan. He will be miserable if the Ravens do not win. I know I don't have to see him until Monday because he's in South Florida. Until then, and then I get to leave. We're changing places. I'm going to South Beach next week on the bye to just get the hell away from this for a couple of days and reset on my own. But as this thing kicks off, who you picking between the Dolphins and the Ravens? We'll read some comments here in just a second, right after I remind you the primetime program made possible by Simon Says Nashville. SimonSaysNashville.com, the best place to get the best men's clothing. The best men's clothing spot in Middle Tennessee is Simon Says Nashville. You can visit them in Wedgwood, Houston, just south of downtown. You'll see all kind of unique pieces, all kind of unique looks, and they won't be the same thing the next time you go into the store. That's why they are the best, because it will be a unique experience, unique to you every time, and their experts will help you get the best possible fit for you. Simon Says Nashville.com. For more details, go visit them today. All right. So as we look at this, I would say the Ravens are a touchdown favorite right now. Looks like Miami is starting off on offense. Dolphins have already run one offensive play. A completion of Waddle, who may or may not be traded. It doesn't look like there's anything imminent there with Miami. I'm sure tonight's outcome would affect the moves that the Dolphins or the Ravens make, frankly, at the trade deadline. I don't know that the Ravens would be sellers necessarily, but it would be curious to see. Also, I just relative to the Titans, because obviously we're not going to do a primetime show. Well, I guess we'll do a Sunday night primetime show. But that's going to be the last primetime we do for the bye week. So that would be the last primetime show before the Tuesday trade deadline. We were talking about it today at the facility, like over under on the Titans trades that actually get done, 1.5. I'm probably going under. I just don't think that there's that many people that want what they have on their roster. And I'm sure that's kind of disappointing to Titans fans, but I don't know. People keep asking me or bringing up Calvin Ridley, trade Calvin Ridley. Yeah, but somebody's got to want Calvin Ridley, and somebody's got to want that Calvin Ridley contract. And on top of that, I mean, what are you getting for Calvin Ridley? Also, are you going to have to eat some of his contract to move him the way that you did DeAndre Hopkins? I don't know. I assume that another trade is going to happen, but I wouldn't say more than 2 players get moved. I would be surprised. Again, there has to be interest other than the Titans just shopping everything that they've got, making it, known through the media that they're open for business on everybody but Cam Ward and Jeffrey Simmons. And I just don't think that there's that much interest in what they have, which would be not ideal, because you need to move some of these bad contracts. You need to move some of these players that teams might want. Draymond Jones is a curiosity here. I wonder what happens with him. He's him or Jihad Ward might be in a situation where people just need pass rushers. They need depth. Those two are on 1-year deals, and they're both cost effective. So perhaps that would make sense. One of those 2 guys, if not both of them. You also have to field a pass rush at some point in time. But Arden Key, obviously, he's missed some time, continues to not practice. He was limited last week, but went back to not practicing. I assume that's trade deadline related, but we'll see what happens. So over under 1.5, I'd probably take the under on Titans players moved. I reserve the right to be proven wrong. We'll see what happens. There may be additional interest. Teams may go for players that they thought they were going to get but missed out on, and come calling to the Titans, be like, hey, all right, whatever, we'll take your stuff. We'll give you a conditional 5th for Calvin Ridley or something like that, which I'm sure would suck. But at some point, you just got to move these guys. All right, a little bit of weekend bounce back. Who needs to bounce back most this week in sports? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. I'll tell you that the Titans' offensive line needs to bounce back. Let's start there. I thought they had a nice pass protection performance on Sunday, but again, the criticism of effort, the criticism of finish is not something that I want to hear about after the Chargers. I don't care if they win. I don't care if they lose, but I want them, if I'm a Titans fan, I want to go out there and I want them to go out there and fight for whatever they have remaining in them. Because that's the job and that's what's required. So I would go with the Titans offensive line unit if they could use a bounce back performance, even if they did not play bad football necessarily last week. I cannot hear any more criticism about an offensive line unit that does not try hard enough. A quick reminder that the Primetime program is made possible by TDOT, by Nobody Trashes Tennessee. Be a part of the solution to end littering and visit NobodyTrashesTennessee.com. All kind of great resources, all kind of great volunteer opportunities for you to help keep the great state of Tennessee beautiful. NobodyTrashesTennessee.com for more information today. All right. I don't want to keep you for much longer of Thursday Night Football. I want you to enjoy it. The Dolphins have kicked a field goal and taken a 3-0 lead. We will see Lamar Jackson for the first time since week 4. And we will
Hey, real quick, speaking of the bounce back, our boy Scott Woodward, who got verbally accosted the other day, is finalizing his exit agreement with LSU per Ross.
Whoa!
Pete Thamel was on it first about 8 minutes ago that they're expected to separate, and then 4 minutes ago, Ross Dellinger said Woodward and LSU are finalizing an exit agreement. Longtime LSU AD or athletic administrator Verge Osbury, hope I'm saying that right, is expected to be interim.
Whoa.
Talk
So
about a
the
leak.
governor went toe-to-toe with the AD and said, nah, Scotty boy, you're out of here. We ain't doing this shit anymore. All right,
Scott,
here's
you're
this
out.
good
Trump,
poll,
you're in.
good poll by Ross. LSU and AD Scott Woodward are expected to separate in the near future. This comes in the wake of Governor Jeff Landry's criticism of Woodward and declaring he wouldn't make the hire in the football coaching search. That clip that we played for you last night. That's crazy. All right, well done by Ross. The rare moment, well done by Ross. See, when you do your job well and don't ask for praise, it's easier to say nice things about you. Feels appropriate to end. Oh, did we take the Jeff Landry clip out of there? We did. Damn, I would have ended the show with Jeff Landry. Anyway, that's okay. That's going to do it for us tonight. Have a great rest of your evening. Hang out with us tomorrow from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster will be there. Coach Mack will be there. Brett Kern will be there. We hope that many of you will be there as we get you a little faster through your Friday. See y'all.
I mean, if we keeping a buck right now, we ass. So we 0-4. We have